office of the medical examiner, Pete'sville. Dr. Jack Hadman is speaking. How can I help you?
Good evening, this is Kate Brooks. I'm not sure if you remember me. A few weeks ago, we talked about an article I'm working on. It's about your wife. I dropped by last Friday to speak to you, but you weren't working at the time. I asked the security guard to pass on a note for me. I would like us to discuss the topic of...
I thought I had made it painfully obvious for the last time. No! Please don't call me again and stop inquiring about my wife. Damn journalists. They don't let me work. God damn it. I'm not in the best frame of mind to record a lecture for my students now. Okay, time to pull myself together. And get back to work. I need to set up the camera first. This place is starting to look like a hoarder. Now remember, Jack, don't forget, hit the record button this time. Hopefully the new tripod is going to hold up. Now, I just have to get everything in frame. This should be fine. November 20th, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. This autopsy is conducted by Jack Hadman. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the autopsy room. Today, you will have the dubious pleasure of following a full autopsy, step by step. For those of you who have already performed your first autopsy, this will refresh your basic knowledge. In turn, for those whose knowledge is, let's start. Always wear an apron, mask, and gloves. Goggles are a must when the job is splashy. And in case of sharp accidents, it's worth having disinfectants at hand. It's true that you won't get ptomaine poisoning straight away. The cadaver is placed on its back on the autopsy. The pathology makes sure like I... In the process of revealing and securing forensic evidence, it is difficult not to interfere with the original condition of the deceased. Written in photographic... During your research, be paid many and... Now, onto the police folder. That will contain all sorts of pertinent information as to who the deceased might be, and what potentially happened to them. So, let's take a closer look, shall we? The deceased's name is Tobias J. The deceased was found on the outskirts of a parking lot at a gas station, where he often begged and persistently offered drivers to wash their car windows. The body was noticed by a station employee during the morning shift. Initially, he thought that someone had thrown some boots and a coat in a nearby ditch. It took him a moment to recognize the pile of clothes as the body of a man. Signs of libation were found around the body. Empty bottles, traces of an inept attempt to start a fire, and a scattered makeshift blanket. He worked most of his life at the local port dealing with unloaded cargo. That's it. It's worth remembering the context around the scene of a death. This allows you to better interpret any traces found on the body. I shouldn't start the procedure without gloves. Now it's our turn to take some pictures for our files. If I can just remember where I left the camera. It's in here somewhere. Aha! There you are. And it was... As I mentioned at the beginning, before we begin the internal examination, we need to document the cadaver and the condition it arrived in. We begin with a full body photo. Try and stick to the top-down rule, but this is not always possible. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility, not the perfect frame. Voila! Now we move on to the next. Take a look. The boiler-healed wound. Looks old. I'll take a closer look later. Hardened hands, worn out by physical work, and frostbite? That's something interesting. It will be necessary to check whether this injury was severe enough to cause damage to the brain. Some wounds in the feet and signs of frostbite. In a moment, we will check which of our initial observations will be worthy of further consideration. But before we get to that, I need to write down some basic data. Scalpel, scissors, I guess I forgot to clean the knife. Personal information. The deceased was unclothed. Date. As you can for this, you're going to need a magnifying glass. Which spot first? I can confirm the presence of ecchymosis on the deceased man's head. It looks like a burn mark. Here we can see frostbite on the fingertips. Definitely a old Toby had been wearing. So far, there are a lot of superficial wounds, but only one serious injury to the head. Let's go back to our notes. First, I mark the location of the injuries and make notes for each one. So... Even though this type of wound didn't contribute if Toby's body was the head wound, we're not in frost season yet, but As you can see, we don't have much to go on. Let's write down what preliminary causes of death we can think of. Considering the conditions in which he slept, various types of accidents are a common cause of death. Perhaps the nights have been particularly... Since the deceased clearly smelled of alcohol, I'll add alcohol poisoning to our list. We still have one thing left from the basics: rigor mortis. Well, we take... Gradually re-raise it. Now let it go. As you can see, what's the conclusion? Death must have occurred more than 72 hours ago. The police information appears correct. Head trauma seems the most promising, so we'll start there. For this, I need an oscillating saw. The cut is made from ear to ear. After which, we remove the skin and the top of the skull. After the basic examination, we can see that the brain's cerebral gyri in both hemispheres are symmetric. The brain looks good. Let's take a cross-section. Some pathologists prefer to examine organs without removing them. However, for me, it's much more convenient to examine them on a board, which we'll do now.